Right. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Indira Bandari, and today I'm going to show you how you can do automatic ingestion, data ingestion, ingestion with Azure Data Factory. Uh, I hope you are all familiar with Azure Data Factory a little bit. Otherwise, I'll just take you through an initial demo of how to set up the Azure Data Factory service in Azure. So before I start off, a little bit about me. I'm working currently as a data architect in a company called Indie Technology, which is a consulting company. And I have about 20 years of experience in the data world. I did a lot of analysis and database administration from the SQL Server 7 days, and the integration was DTS when I started, and then it grew to SSIS, and now it is ADF. And along the journey, I developed a passion to teach kids about technology. I run um, SQL and Power BI classes for kids, for 10 to 15-year-old kids, and which resulted in floating of a charitable trust called Kids Charitable Trust. Um, and also, I've been recognized as a Microsoft Data Platform MVP for the last 6 years, and this year I have been also recognized as a AI MVP. Do you have any question? Okay. Okay, so uh, continuing on. This is the agenda. So what I'm going to cover is how do we copy multiple tables. Let's say, for example, from a SQL Server to a blob storage. So that is the scenario that I'm going to cover today. And for this, we are going to use two activities. One is the lookup activity, and the other one is the for each iteration activity. That's the agenda. And I'll just briefly touch these as a theory, and then we can go into the demo part. So firstly, we will add a lookup activity to the Azure Data Factory Studio. And then we will be because, for example, I have a sample database, AdventureWorks, and then I have, let's say, 10 tables. If we do a copy activity, just the copy activity, we can just copy one table into the blob storage. But how do we copy multiple tables? Do we need to do multiple copy objects, or can we do it with just one copy object? That's what we are going to do today. So, and the lookup activity will help us to identify the list of tables, and then once we get all the 10 tables or 5 tables, whatever you are trying to create a copy of from SQL to blob storage, you will get that list in the lookup activity. So once you'll add the lookup activity, then what you do is you will add a for each activity. Now, for each activity is like any other loop concept in a programming language. So, since you will have 5 tables, first you will copy one table, then it's going to iterate itself into second table, third table, fourth table, fifth table, like that. So that is what loops through the dynamic list. So the list will be provided by the lookup activity, and then it will execute um, the set of activities, whatever we define. We are going to define copy activity inside the for each activity. So the third activity will be inside the, okay. So copy scenario, I think my slides got got a bit misplaced. So the copy scenario will be copy tables from a sample SQL database and then create CSV files into blob storage. So those tables that are there in the that are there in the Azure SQL database will be exported to CSV files, and then they will be stored in a Azure blob storage. Okay, now steps involved is lookup activity. Get the table list for each activity for each table in the list, and then copy activity will be from the SQL account to the storage account. And then in the lookup activity, this is how a lookup activity will look in the Azure database. So this will be the query that I'm going to run from within the lookup activity after connecting it to the SQL database where which I want to copy. I'll show you what this query results. Then after that, we will be adding a for each activity, which will look like this. And then we need to connect the lookup activity to for each activity, and then make sure we are passing the value of the lookup activity as into the for each, so that so that for each activity can read what the tables are. And then the copy activity will copy from the source to the destination. The source will be dynamically added with these codes. So you will specify this what the schema name is and what the table name is, so that it can loop through the it gets the data, the table name from the lookup activity dynamically, and then gets to the source, and then from there dynamically it will save the export the data into a CSV file, because this is what we are specifying here in the destination, and the destination connection will be the Azure blob storage. And okay, so before we recap, so this will how our activities look in the Azure database. So now I will share my screen. Any questions so far?
I can't see your screen now.
Yeah, I'm sharing it, resharing it again. Okay. Okay, now here what I have is the resources that we need for doing all this is you need a storage account, you need a SQL server, and also you need Azure Data Factory. So here you can see the Azure Data Factory, and then I'm launching that. While that is launching, we will just, this is the my storage account where I'm going to store this in the exported tables. So now we can see that there is nothing here. And also in the Adventures Works SQL database, okay, so this is the query that I showed you in my presentation. When I run this one, it gives me all the tables that are there in my Adventure Works database with the schema name, because that's the condition I have given, with the schema name sales LT, the tables. I think there are about 10 tables. Yeah, 10 tables. So let's get into action. So this is the query that I'm going to use, and we have seen the folder where we are going to store the CSV files, which doesn't have anything, and our Azure Data Factory has Data Studio has launched. Now here in the Azure Data Factory, what you can do is you can do ingest, orchestrate, transform, and also configures SSIS. So here you can author. If you click on author, you can build some pipelines, data sets, data flows, and all those things. So what we will do is we will build a data pipeline. So I'm just going to click on the dot 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 here and then click on the new pipeline. So once I do that, here are a lot of activities that you can use. And the activity that I'm going to use first is the lookup activity as mentioned. So if I want to uh, see a lookup activity, I don't know where it is. So you can just search for activities. Usually it will be, because it's a general activity, it will be in general. Yeah, it is in general. Otherwise, you can just go and search for lookup and then just drag it. So you once you drag it, it will come into the canvas. And here you can name the lookup activity. I'm just going to say that it's a table list or something. Yeah, because we are going to get the table list from the Azure SQL using that query. So here you notice that there is a section called settings, which will require source data. And here our source data is the AdventureWorks database that I have just shown you. So here if I look up here, I don't have any source data set. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create new SQL Server connection. So I'm just going to type SQL and I choose the Azure SQL and then continue. I'll just say that this is the um, table list. Yeah, I'll just say table list. And then when I look in the link service, I need to create a link service to the Azure SQL. So I'll just create a new link service. And then this I will say, I'll name it as LS so that I know that this is the link service. And from the Azure subscription, I am going to choose my subscription and my server name, ASQL demo, and I'm going to choose my database. And here I'm going to choose SQL authentication and SQL admin, and password is password. Okay, that's it. I'm going to leave everything else as is, and then I'm just going to create. So once the link service is created, it is going to attach to the data set that I'm going to create. Now here, this is okay. So here I'm going to, my IP seems to be changing. So I'm just going to add that same IP 20 dot. Give me a minute. Because you can't connect to the Azure SQL publicly. So we need to be adding that. So I'm going to add. Oops. Okay, added. Once that is successful, okay, I am going to go here, and then if I refresh it, it should be able to load it. Yeah. Now this is not mandatory, so I'm just not going to select the table name now. Select the table name now. So I'll leave it for now, and then I'll choose none, and then I'll just say okay. And once I do that, because I need the table list, and so I will copy the query that I have used here into the query area. So if I go into this one, I'll just copy this and paste this here. And now if you look at the preview, preview data, So it is showing only one record. Anyone knows why it is showing one record? Because it is first row only. So if I deselect that one and then preview data, now it is showing all 10. Okay. So now we have done the first step. Now what we are going to do is add the for each activity. So I'm going to again search for each. It is in iterations and conditions, and added that to the canvas. Now here, because the list needs to go as an input to the for each, I just connect on success. And then here we need to set up, in the settings we need to set up the items. So I'll just go and add dynamic content, and here uh, yeah, this is what I need to add, the activity output. And once we add that, we need to add the value, because in the value you can see the table value. So here I'm just going to click on OK, and also I would like that as sequential, so I'll just put it that way. Once the for each is defined, now we need to maybe for each I'll just change the name to uh, for each table or something like that. Now there is you can see an edit button here. Once you click on the edit button, the pipeline from the pipeline it is going to go into the edit edit what do you call, the edit activity. So the for each table activity. So what I need there is, I want the copy data activity there, because in the PowerPoint I have mentioned that once you add the lookup and the for each, you need to add a copy data inside the for each. So here I want to copy data from copy SQL tables to blob. Okay, so now here we need to define the source. So now the source is, I don't want to use the existing table list, but I want to create a new source data set, which is the, again we need to connect to the SQL server and then get the actual data. So let's say continue, and this one I will name that as SQL tables. And here I can connect to the same link server, because I'm going to use the same AdventureWorks database. And here I'm not going to connect to the table again. So what I'm going to do is I'm click on the null and then click on OK. Now in this data set, if I open this data set, what I want to do is I want to pass the what do you call, the create two parameters here, a schema name and a table name, because I need to pass them dynamically. Okay, so that is done. Then if I go into my pipeline, and here once we created those particular parameters, now it's going to ask you what is your it's just it did not save, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, table name, and why is it not showing? Maybe I need to refresh. Okay, let's come back to that. Let's go into sync now. Sink is our destination. So the destination is Azure Blob Storage. So we don't have anything there. So I need to create a new one with a blob storage. And if I go there and I want to create CSV files, so I'll just choose the CSV, continue. And I always want the first row as header, and I can just say CSV tables or CSV files maybe. And link service also I don't have, so I'm just going to connect to the link service, create a link service from Azure subscription, and then the storage account is data to account. Yeah, I'll leave everything else as it is and then create it. So once you create, and you can choose the container. So I'm just going to browse to the container, and then I think exported tables was what I wanted to save that to. And then I'll leave the file name as it is because I want the file names to be generated dynamically. So I'll just go none and then click on OK. And I'll just rename the pipeline to SQL2. Oops, where am I going? SQL2 blob. Okay. Now if I go here, okay, now what I need to do is again, if I'll just open this one again, this one too, and I want to add a parameter there because I need to define what the file name is. So here, if I go into parameters and then add a new parameter called file name, and then here is, yeah, two parameters, and now here you have the file name. And here in the file name, what you need to do is you need to add a value. Here the value will be, so what should be, before we add the value there, we'll just leave the, not in, yeah, we'll leave this one. So we'll just go to the same, go to the source of it. And let me add the CSV file, not the CSV file, SQL tables again. Yeah, now you can see both schema name and table name, right? Now we have to define what what the schema name will be. So if I click on the value of the source, you need to add the dynamic content. So for each table, you have you will get the value, right? So here you can call the name of the output value. So what will be the name of the output value is, if you go into this one, see, this is the query that you have used to get the, in the lookup activity, to get the table names, right? So you need to use schema name as this and table name as table underscore name. So if I go back again, so that is what I want to mention. So I can say item dot and then schema name, and then click on OK, and table name, again click on the item and then dot table underscore name. Once you do that, that's the thing that is there. And then now you have the sync. In the sync also you need to add the data dynamically. So what the, this is where you will define the file name. So what I want the file name to be is the schema name underscore file name dot CSV. So I'm going to add that. So concat, and I'm going to concat the item dot schema underscore name, and then because that this is the parameter, and then within quotations, what I need to do is I'll add a underscore, and then I'm going to concatenate that with the item name, item dot table underscore name, comma. Now schema name underscore table name, and then dot CSV, because I want the file to be named as dot CSV extension, file extension. So I'll just say dot CSV, and then that will give you the give the file name dynamically. Anything else? I think that's all. Okay, so now we have set the copy activity, uh, and okay, so that's all. Let's try and now debug this. I think I have done enough. I might have to do some more. Might have to add the IP address again. Let's try and see what happens. Pipeline validation output table name is required. Which one is that? Here, source table name. Let's preview data. Fail. This is where. Please select the table. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay, we need to mention the, okay. So in this one, SQL tables, we need to mention the value. Yeah, here we need to mention, instead of selecting the existing table, what we need to do is enter that manually, and then here add the dynamic content, the schema name. Sorry, add it twice. Okay, schema name. Okay, and add dynamic content, table name, so that it gets selected. Now if we is there something similar here? Yeah, okay. So here also in the CSV file connection, the data source, we need to add a file name. Yeah, here is where we need to define file name. Okay, so now I think it should be fine. Okay, let's go into the SQL to blob pipeline and then debug. Okay, now I'll just remove the properties and then let's monitor. I might get the IP address error. Let's check. Any questions so far while this is running? Okay, so it has failed. I like this. I think it's the same. Yeah, IP address 2042.3.103. 2042.3.103. successfully added. Let's see whether we can run it again. Debug. Oh, yes, yeah. Okay, so it's says in progress and 7 seconds duration. Okay, so table list has succeeded. So here if you see there is an input and an output. Input is what we have given, the schema name, and it is showing what the input is, and first row is false. So and then if we look at the, okay, something is again wrong. So here it is showing count as 10 and all these as, it's a JSON file. It is showing the details, all the 10 details. Now it is showing as fail. Let's see again. I think it's again a IP address issue. Let's see, 20 37 193 67, 20 37 193, 20 37 193.63. Usually you will have to do a private endpoint and things like that. I didn't bother to do it. I just did this demo couple of hours. Spun up the SQL server couple of hours ago. So okay, I'll rerun this. Hopefully it will succeed. Cancel option, cancel. Okay, we have given 10. Okay, 10 tables it needs to save. If it doesn't run again, I'm just going to change it to maybe 2 or 3 tables, and then let's check whether it runs. Again. Oh God, this is changing again and again. 20 37 193 78. 20 37 193 78. Not an ideal option, but sorry, can't help it. Okay, close. Okay, now let's go once more. I should have done, for some reason it's not. Okay, what I've done is, I think I have another data factory. Maybe we will use that, where I have similar thing set up, because I think I didn't cancel recursively. That's why it is not running again. 9:45, it didn't run after it. Okay, let me open that data factory, and then we have 10 more minutes, right? Hopefully it will work. Okay, author the pipeline. Yeah. Okay, let's see what this is happening here. What's happening is, yeah, I did only top 2 schema, and in the for each activity, same output value, and in the copy, I just want to check what I have. Okay, so here we have done the same thing. Yeah, this also the same file name. I just want to check the destination. Yeah, I have given table data. I'm just going to give it exported data. Oh, so it has changed. It has saved. It has saved 4. Okay. So I'm just going to run this one. Okay. So orchestration pipeline. I just want to check the settings. I'll just remove the, let's say, I'll just say top 6. Okay. Now let me debug. It might error because of the IP address. Not expecting it to work. Any questions? I can't see your questions if you are having any questions. Okay, I think the D's is not referring the parameter. Yeah, okay. Okay, one succeeded. So let's see what has succeeded. So input is okay, this must be again the IP address. So 82.20.37.193.82. So if I look into the succeeded one, for 450 rows have been copied. And which one is that? I'm just trying to find the name of it. Okay, I need to change the IP address. Let me change it. 20.37.193.82. Very safe. I can't see safe. Very safe. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll rerun again and then we can see the exported tables. Okay, so even though it said that it failed, looks like it has saved something. So if I look at the download, Or maybe I'll just copy the link probably. So they have been saving. Because I think it's running again now. 2042 435. Oh my god. 2042 435. 5 more minutes, I think. One last run and then we can stop. So when it is running again, it looks like $9.52. Let me download this and see. Okay, there is data here. So it has been saving. Okay, so there is data here. Okay, so I think that has worked. So can you all see the files here? So there is data here. So that's what I wanted to show. So recap is here. You can achieve that with just 2 activities, a lookup and a for each activity. And you can add a lot of whistles, bells and whistles, like capture the start time and end time and things like that. Any questions? That's all I have to cover.
Thank you very much for that. I can't see any
questions, right? Yeah.
Questions sort of lined up in the chat.
Yeah.
At the moment. So thank you for taking your time and presenting with us today.
No worries. Yeah.
That's really good. Lots of really interesting things within that. Things change all the time, don't they, as well? And it's like,
I know. Yeah.
it's just we can't keep up with the volume of change at the moment. So it's just so important, isn't it, to keep sort of like sharing with everything. So, but that is great. Thank you very much. Hopefully people will be able to join us for extra sessions as well today, and because we've got quite a lot going on. We've got several different rooms running with 3 different tracks next at 9 o'clock as well. So I've pasted the details of the links in the chat. I'm just going to stop this one recording. Right, stop. Right. So